The chair now recognizes Mr. Carter from Georgia for 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank all of you for being here. Before I begin my questions, I have to say this. Earlier in the hearing, there was a conversation about doctors' handwriting, and I just want to say, I want to represent my profession as a practicing pharmacist for over 30 years. So you get it. You understand what I'm saying. Anyway, I couldn't resist that, and I apologize. Too many times have I struggled to understand what a doctor was writing. I wanted to talk to you, Dr. Rai is, okay, I'm sorry, I know I butchered that, but nevertheless, I'm a member, as a pharmacist, I'm a member of the Doctors Caucus, and we had sent a letter to CMS earlier this month about MACRA and MIPS implementation and the $500 million that had been authorized to ensure positive payment adjustments. But one of the things that we've run into is that we just don't have enough physicians who are participating. And I just wanted to ask you, CMS estimates that it's over 60% that aren't participating. What are the obstacles, and what are some of the obstacles that are preventing or prohibiting providers from switching to this?
You know, I think some of the obstacles are inherent to how they've been practicing medicine and how their own structures have been developed over time. Some may say they've not, followed the legacy programs, as was mentioned earlier, so they've not actually implemented the EMR or using it in a meaningful way. They've not developed, patient-centered medical homes or have the ability to tap into registries. There are a variety of reasons why people are not participating. But for us to truly move to value, we need everybody to participate. MACRA was written to be a carrot and a stick program. So for it to work, everybody has to be in.
I suspect that I would be correct to say that it's worse in rural areas than it is in urban areas. Is that correct?
I haven't seen CMS's distribution of who's not participating, but I think it's across the board. I think you'll see it in small single specialty in a very urban area, but yes, you'll probably see it a lot in urban areas that don't have a system infrastructure supporting them.
Okay. Can you describe very briefly about some of the investments that your organization has made in order to participate in this?
I probably think I can break the investments into three categories. The first being people. The most important category in healthcare is continuously investing in people. Team-based care is not inexpensive. Nurse care managers, extra medical assistants, making sure the physician or the provider is surrounded by the best people to take care of their population, not just the patient that's in front of them that day. The next area is, like I mentioned, an EMR is only as good as you can draw the data out of. So our largest area of investment in the EMR is not really the EMR anymore. It's digital platforms to draw the data out, to analyze it, to hopefully someday get access to claims data, which we need, to be able to look at a risk population and predict what's going to happen to a patient before it happens to them. And the third area of investment is that digital platform that's patient-facing. Our patients want access to their record. It's not our medical record, it's their medical record. It's creating environments for them to interact with us in virtual care like we launched this year, where they don't have to come into the office. Those have been the three categories of investments that we've personally made to make sure we're successful, not only with MACRA, but with value down the line.
Great, thank you. Dr. Parikh, I wanted to ask you, in your testimony, you had mentioned that MedPAC had made the recommendation that MIPS should be replaced with a voluntary value program that might be phased in over time. And I just wanted to ask you, in full disclosure, I agree with you that I don't agree with MedPAC. I think that would be the wrong route for us to go. I think we're headed in the right direction with this. We got to figure out a way, I think, if not to incentivize, then to require physicians to do this. I mean, and I don't like that. I don't like the heavy hand of government, particularly in healthcare. But at the same time, I'm convinced we're moving in the right direction. I just wanted to ask you, what are some of the challenges to developing outcome measures in the practice of medicine?
It's just hard. It's hard to do. You have to have a clean measurement. You don't want all these other comorbidities that are, quote unquote, messing up your outcomes. So let's take cataract surgery, for example. If I have a patient who's got severe blinding macular degeneration at baseline, and then they've developed a cataract on top of that, as bad as their vision was, now it's worse. So I take their cataract out, and I get them maybe to 2,400, which is, you know, the big E, legal blindness still, they are ecstatic, but my measure might look bad because, oh, Dr. Parekh, this patient, you operate on them and they're legally blind. So things like that, those subtleties, the devil is in the details, right?
Right.
Those subtleties make all the difference. So coming up with those kind of clean outcomes are very hard to do. And so
Right.
there are certain surgeries that lend themselves to that, but others that don't. And
Well, I'm out of time, but I want to thank all of you for your efforts in moving this forward, because I do believe we're headed in the right direction with this, and I yield back.
Thank you. Gentleman yields back. Seeing there are no further